It was utter bullshit, and that's why it collapsed. About how Wall Street is actually the dictionary definition of a Ponzi scheme. This documentary about a massive U.S. corporation that collapsed in a horrific and scandalous way rather quickly. And you guys may have remembered it just a few years ago. It's called MoviePass. And I just watched the documentary, and there's a lot of good points made in the documentary, but I'm going to dig into a deeper level that the documentary won't touch with a 10-foot pole. And if they did, they wouldn't have a documentary on Max or HBO or whatever it's called now. Many of you may remember MoviePass. It got hugely popular for the span of less than a year, I think. It was basically it looked like a credit card. You could apply to get one. And for $10 a month, you could go see unlimited movies with it. And as many of you know, the average movie ticket is somewhere between $11 and $13, depends on what city you're in. So how is it that they could give you a card for unlimited movies when every movie ticket should cost at minimum $11 and they're offering unlimited? And millions of people had this, and they're going to tons of movies using this pass. If you're like me, you would have thought, well, I guess the theaters and the movies are giving them a deal on the tickets to get people through the door. So I guess MoviePass must be paying, $1 a movie, while your average citizen walks up and pays $13. Well, no, like so much of corporate America, it was utter bullshit, and that's why it collapsed. It turned out that no, they did not get a deal. In fact, MoviePass, the company, was paying regular price for all of these tickets. So you pay $10 a month, they then pay $13, $11, whatever, per ticket, and you go to 10, 15 movies in that month. They have lost tons of money. And guess what? They were losing tons of money. So why would that happen? Why would anyone in their right mind think that's a feasible business option? And it really comes down to how corporate America and Wall Street works. Wall Street is not based in reality. The cost of the value, quote unquote, of a stock is not based in any kind of reality. It's based in basically lies. A combination of, yes, some reality, like the stock goes up because they get lots of subscribers, so that's based in reality. But the lies part come in that MoviePass was running around telling everybody, and their garbage, greedy CEOs and everything, were telling everybody, not the guy on the screen. He actually was apparently the good guy founder who got forced out, but that aside, they're telling everybody, oh no, this is a great model, and we're gonna become very profitable because we're gonna sell the data of who's going to the movies, and we're gonna become so powerful that we're gonna get discounts from the movie theaters, which we don't yet have. We're gonna make tons of money, but we're just not doing it yet. And those lies is what was the foundation of the stock price, which then makes the stock price, quote unquote, worth lots of money. So it shoots to the moon, which then gives MoviePass ability to run around to billionaires and say, give us more money. Look at how good our stock is doing. You get it. It's a Ponzi scheme based on a Ponzi scheme based on a Ponzi. Here's an article saying MoviePass became an overnight sensation, and there's now this documentary, MoviePass MovieCrash, on HBO. It's a damning account of how MoviePass's C-suite executives were dead set on ignoring all the warning signs leading up to filing for bankruptcy in 2020. So it all took about a year for between when MediaPass blew up and when it crashed was like less than a year. And this article from The Verge wants to blame it on the fact that they had C-suite investors, term to describe an organization's senior executives who are responsible for ensuring the organization's success. Basically, it means they brought in these executives who then had the ability to force out the two founders. Coincidentally, or not coincidentally, maybe, the two founders are both black, and the white guys who came in and took over and forced them out and fired them are both white. And at least one of the, well, actually, they're both apparently going to prison, although I think there's an appeal process or a trial ongoing, but they're both being tried for fraud. The two white CEOs that came in and came up with the $10 a month deal, which was catastrophic. But I want to point out this. This is a large documentary. It really digs in. It says, oh, greed, fraudster. And it's like, yes, but this is not unusual. This is how corporate America works. This is how capitalism works. It benefits those who lie. It benefits and gives them a massive power. I mean, the fraudsters that ultimately took over MoviePass had been at other businesses before, and they had failed upward by lying and cheating and stealing, which is what our system is based on. And this documentary and this article, of course, don't say, oh, this is actually quite common in corporate America, such as Fyre Festival, which is not just it wasn't just a festival. It was a corporation, right, that created a festival. So I'm not just talking about the festival, although the festival was the main thing that was catastrophic. But Fyre Festival is a great example. I imagine some of you have watched the documentaries on Fyre Festival, which is absolutely unbelievable. It's just a couple of people lying their face off, getting everybody to pay for a festival out on an island in, where was it? Haiti, Dominican Republic, something like that, acting like it was going to be this magical, wonderful, star-studded $1 million event. And they sold the thing out, and they got all kinds of quote-unquote influencers to promote it. And then everybody shows up, and it's a bunch of FEMA tents and some cheese sandwiches. And the whole thing was absolutely nothing. And you wonder, like, how could something get that far? How could it get all the way to the point that people are landing on the island ready for the concert, and there is no concert, and there is no elite special chefs and food, and there are no special tents with gorgeous beds? It's just FEMA tents. Like, how does that get that far? Because this is the system we have. Our system uniquely, and there are other countries like this, but I mean in terms of economic systems, our system uniquely puts the biggest sociopaths at the top. The people most willing to lie, cheat, and steal end up at the top of the system. Now, many of them will have very successful corporations. I mean, if you look at Facebook, Facebook stole an idea. Facebook then went on to lie repeatedly about what they were selling to advertisers. There were lawsuits several years ago about Facebook telling advertisers, you know, you're getting this many views of at least 30 seconds. And it turned out most of those views were 1 second as the person scrolls by it at this speed. Anyway, lies after lies after lies. Now, Facebook has done so well and been so big that those lies and failures have not stopped it. But other corporations, the lies and failures do cause them to collapse, such as this catastrophic Fyre Festival, which, if you haven't watched the documentary on Fyre Festival, it is amazing. It is amazing to watch these creeps just create this absolute shit show. And then it all come crashing down. And he did end up serving time in jail. The guy, McFarlane, he did end up serving time in jail, but I did see, and I haven't looked up on this, he's trying to create it again. So he's out of jail and he's doing Fyre Festival again. It's like, why not trust him again? Okay, let's move on to another catastrophic business that was worth billions. WeWork, yet again, proving that the stock price is based on a false reality. Let's see, what was that guy's name? Adam Neumann. So this is Adam Neumann, the founder of WeWork, who ultimately, if you watch the documentary on WeWork, you see that yet again, yes, there was some reality to WeWork, a company that sells workspace. Okay, cool. And they have beer taps there. Way neat, fun. And they have a cappuccino machine. Oh, cool. But how much should that type of business be worth? Probably not that much. I mean, it could be a nice little business, but it should be like a pizza place. It's just a little tiny office. And unless they're charging millions a month for that office, they're not going to be making tons of money. He was such a good speaker and, he turned it into like a cult, and he had a bunch of cultish followers. And this type of garbage, like lies and promotion and everything, getting celebrities to stand next to you and everything, made it into a massive stock that was quote unquote worth billions, but was basically worthless. And then he ultimately gets away as a billionaire. Like they ultimately buy him out or may force him out for billions of dollars. He creates this false reality that has collapsed. And, you know, there's still, I think WeWork still like barely exists. It's hobbling along, but he made it into this entire false reality that hung in there, but collapsed, because this is capitalism. This is Wall Street. It is about lying, 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 and then ultimately hoping you have some. You know, Tesla has done this at many moments. Now, Tesla is still hanging in there and doing quite well in some regards, but many people have talked about the fact that Tesla's stock it seems to be way overvalued. At sometimes, I haven't checked on it recently, but at sometimes Tesla stock was worth more than all the other major US car companies combined. Like, how does that happen? Because Elon Musk tweeted? It doesn't make any sense. But it's because Wall Street is fake. It's based on a false reality. And I've done coverage of this. I think I'm one of the few talking about how Wall Street is actually the dictionary definition of a Ponzi scheme. Most of what Wall Street is, not 100%, but most of what Wall Street is a company that sells you a thing called a stock, but that stock is not related to real world income. Sometimes it's somewhat, but you look at MoviePass, the stock was not related to real world income. And if you go up to that company and say, here's my stock, give me how much it's worth, if you read the fine print of a piece of stock, it's worth zero. It's worth like a penny. Like if you went and said, I have this Google stock, Google, give me money, they'd say, okay, we owe you a penny. Now, the way you get money is by convincing someone else, or the news convincing someone else, that stock's worth a lot of money. So you take this meaningless thing, you hand it to someone else and say, here, you have it. And they say, here's a lot of money because I think it's worth a lot of money. And sure, you can say, that's great, I'm fine with that. But it is a Ponzi scheme. That's the definition of a Ponzi scheme. And you may go, well, the key thing about because if everybody decided that it wasn't worth anything, then it all collapses. You might go, well, the key thing that's different is with a Ponzi scheme, it's all based on lies. That's like, but a lot of Wall Street is based on lies. Like there's loads and loads of fraud on Wall Street. Most of what these investor calls are, especially when the stock is going down, is a company gets on the phone and says, don't worry, we're fine. But they're not always fine. And anyway, so WeWork's another example. Let's go for one more, shall we? Let's not stop there. Another example of a company that nearly collapsed. And there's another great show on Netflix. America now loves these either shows or documentaries based on the like catastrophic corporate businesses. Uber was filled with scandals for a long time. It was not actually profitable. It was just had a good stock that looked good, that was a disruptor. And so people were dumping billions into it, even though it wasn't actually making money. It had all these lawsuits from cities were suing it, taxis were suing it, breaking all these laws and everything. Yeah, it ultimately found its way out of most of them, and it's still hanging in there. But the fact that the company ultimately finds a way to settle the lawsuits and get out of it and keep going doesn't prove that it's not wrong. Doesn't prove that millions of people aren't like screwed in one way or another. And again, there's another great show on this on Netflix. One more, and this one did destroy the company, but this shows how the system works. Elizabeth Holmes and Theranos. She ultimately went to prison. Another great show, by the way. I think that one's on Hulu, showing the catastrophic lies of Theranos. Theranos, for most of you know, was a blood testing company where it says it would take one drop of your blood and test you for everything medically you needed to be tested for, which of course, every day, millions of people across this country and around the world are being tested for one thing or another, or just tested to see how healthy they are. And this thing was basically saying, ultimately, you'll have a little thing the size of a toaster in your house. You can take a pinprick of your blood, and it can tell you everything about your health and how you're doing. And it was especially important for people that do have an illness, like has your cancer gotten worse? Has it gone away? All those things. And they just lied and lied and lied, and they never actually had this product. It never actually existed. And she was on the cover of Forbes and all this shit, and the company's worth billions of dollars, and they signed deals with CVS or whatever, or Walgreens, I can't remember. All lies, all scandal. But yet again, Wall Street is based on lies. So sometimes they come crashing down, but a lot of times they don't. A lot of times they just keep hanging in there. That's just how it is. You keep going. You steal, lie, cheat, and steal. And you become one of the largest corporations in the world. I wanted to bring you that because this documentary, I think, is pretty popular on HBO. MoviePass MovieCrash, it's called. And MoviePass is back, by the way. It's just got a different financing model that's supposed to be less insane. Who knows? But, of course, that documentary, as any documentary does well in America, is not going to tell you about the heart of capitalism, about the dark, rock hard piece of coal that is the heart of capitalism. Instead, they just go, this one guy was greedy. Oh, if we just stop this one guy, he was a no good Nick. No, it's a system that promotes the no good Nicks, the sociopaths up to the top to run things.